The White Lotus Explained. The White Lotus Season 1 is a satire about who pays the cost of paradise. Over 1 week at a luxury resort on Maui, 3 groups of wealthy guests, newlyweds Shane and Rachel Patton, the Mossbacher family, and grieving heiress Tanya McCoy, collide with the staff who serve them. At the center is Armand, the resort manager whose philosophy of invisible, seamless hospitality masks a fragile sobriety and a booking error that sets everything in motion. The season opens with a flash forward. Someone is dead, human remains loaded onto a plane. What follows is a slow unraveling of marriages, identities, and professional masks, as entitlement compounds, and the question becomes not whether paradise will break, but who will absorb the damage when it does.
Someone died at the White Lotus. That's how the season opens. Shane Patton, a wealthy newlywed, is alone at the Maui airport, his wife nowhere in sight, and human remains are being loaded onto his plane. Then we jump back 1 week. 3 groups of guests arrive at a luxury resort on Maui by ferry.
And greeting them all is Armand, the resort manager, whose whole philosophy is hospitality as invisible performance. Staff should be generic, pleasant, interchangeable. 5 years sober, completely in control. What the season does is dismantle that control piece by piece.
The first crack is a booking error. Shane's mother paid for the pineapple suite, private plunge pool, and Armand double booked it. Shane has proof, Armand lies, and that room dispute becomes the engine for the entire season. Sounds petty. It ends with a man dead.
Does it ever actually stay about the room?
Never. Shane catches Armand lying about when the suite opens up, gets his mother's travel agent involved, and forces a promise. Armand retaliates, deliberately sabotages Shane's romantic dinner by putting him on the same sunset boat where Tanya McCoy is scattering her dead mother's ashes. Tells Shane the other guest will be quiet as a church mouse.
That's not incompetence, that's revenge. And Armand's already in freefall. A guest's backpack with drugs in it ended up on his desk, and he kept them. 5 years of sobriety, gone.
Then Armand creates a fake business card with a disconnected number so Shane can never reach management. Shane goes looking for him, walks into his office and catches him with Dylan. Now Shane has career-ending leverage. Armand tries to neutralize it by giving Shane the pineapple suite for free.
But Shane never stops. He uses family connections. His travel agent knows the hotel owner personally and gets Armand fired. A week-long grudge over a room, powered by privilege, ends a man's career.
And that firing is the domino that kills him. We'll get to that final night, but I want to talk about Rachel first, because what happens to her is just as brutal.
Right. She arrives with ambitions, she's a writer, and the season strips every option until staying with Shane is the only thing left.
It starts when Shane dismisses the offer, calls it clickbait, tells her she doesn't need money anymore. She goes to Nicole Mossbacher for career advice. Nicole encourages independence at first, then turns hostile when she learns Rachel wrote a listicle she considered a hatchet job.
So her husband says her work doesn't matter because they're rich, and the one woman she admires says it doesn't matter because it's bad. Where does she even go from there?
Shane's mother Kitty shows up uninvited and tells Rachel her value is in making Shane happy. Be a trophy. What's wrong with that? Rachel tries to call her own mother afterward. The call doesn't connect. Grocery store, bad reception. That's her last lifeline gone.
She takes off her rings that night and tells Shane the marriage was a mistake. And then at the airport the next morning, she's back, promising she'll be happy. She doesn't surrender because she changed her mind. She surrenders because isolation left her no exit.
Now, the Mossbachers. Mark arrives convinced he has testicular cancer. His father died of it at 46. Gets the all clear, then calls his uncle and discovers his father actually died of AIDS, secretly had relationships with men, and the family covered it up for decades. That revelation breaks him.
He built his entire identity on this father figure, and overnight, the icon collapses. He drinks all day, gives Quinn speeches about humans being just monkeys, then confesses his own affair to his teenage son.
Quinn, who has no filter, accidentally reveals the affair at dinner by mentioning the $75,000 apology bracelets. Nicole connects the dots. The whole family fractures, and Mark spends the rest of the season chasing respect through emotional honesty and vulnerability.
But does any of it actually land?
Not until he tackles the robber who broke into their suite. One act of physical courage earns the family respect that weeks of vulnerable speeches never could.
I'm not sure it's that clean, though. Nicole already knew about the affair before the robbery. She'd been absorbing it. The tackle didn't replace the honesty. It gave the family a shared crisis to rally around. But the show frames brute courage as the easier path winning out.
Fair point. Their son Quinn is having the opposite arc. The tide destroys his electronics, and instead of falling apart, he starts connecting with a local Hawaiian outrigger crew. By the finale, he's begging to stay. Says everything at home feels dead to him. His parents refuse.
But at the airport, Quinn slips away while the family boards. The only character who chose a genuinely different life.
Now Tanya and Belinda. Tanya arrives grieving, carrying her mother's ashes, and bonds with Belinda, the spa manager, over a ceremonial chant that cracks her open. She offers to fund Belinda's wellness business. Belinda takes it seriously, drafts a real plan, tells her son, who says, "Go for it."
Then Tanya meets Greg, a fisherman staying next door, and every time Belinda tries to present her plan, Tanya wanders off for him. 3 times she chooses Greg over Belinda, cancels a dinner, walks out of a pitch, and finally kills the whole project.
And the goodbye is the worst part of the whole thing.
Tanya tells Belinda she needs to stop using money to control people, hands her an envelope of cash instead of the business, uses therapy language to justify abandoning someone who genuinely helped her. Belinda's dream dies from selfishness dressed up as growth.
Which brings us to the robbery. Paula, Olivia Mossbacher's college friend, is secretly involved with Kai, a hotel employee whose family was illegally evicted from the land the resort sits on. He works for the people who displaced his family because he needs the income.
So Paula gives him the Mossbacher safe code and tells him to steal the bracelets. $75,000, enough for a lawyer to fight his family's land case. She frames it as justice.
But Nicole comes back to the suite unexpectedly, Mark tackles Kai, and Kai is arrested. Paula orchestrated everything and faces no consequences. The person closest to privilege walks away clean. The person furthest from it goes to prison. It's the season's thesis in one storyline.
Every time, the person with less power absorbs everything.
So now, the final night. Armand has been fired because of Shane's connections. He retreats to his office with Dylan and the last of the stolen drugs and decides to go out on his own terms. There's this montage, every guest demand from the whole season echoing through his head, distorted and relentless.
6 episodes of keeping the hospitality mask on, and it all collapses. That night, completely out of his mind, Armand sneaks into Shane's suite and defiles his suitcase.
Shane comes back, finds the mess, hears a noise in the other room. He's had a pineapple knife by the bed, picked it up for self-defense after hearing about the robbery. Grabs it, goes in, and accidentally stabs Armand. Armand dies on the floor of the suite Shane fought all week to get.
The resort manager, who spent the whole season serving impossible guests, killed by a guest in the guest's room with the guest's knife. Shane is not arrested.
The next morning at the airport, Rachel arrives. Tells Shane she's happy, promises she'll be happy. She stays. And while the Mossbachers board their flight, Quinn slips away to join the paddlers.
I push back on the idea that anyone really changed, though. Shane didn't. The system validated everything he did. Rachel tells herself she chose happiness. Tanya believes she grew. But the only person who genuinely broke free was Quinn, a 16-year-old nobody was paying attention to, paddling out to sea.